Whenever you're ready, take us away.
Okay, so what I'm going to tell you about today is Christian music, but before I get into that, I want to find out about some of the musical genres you guys are into. So, we have a few people that raise their hand and tell me what kind of music you're into. Metal.
Simon and Garfunkel, 60s.
Oh, okay. Rap. Okay.
I'm into that Gregorian chants.
What?
Gregorian chants.
Oh, okay. I had a friend who taught me one of those, or he knew one of those or something. Okay. Well, even though some of those genres were a little bit different from what I was expecting to hear, there is in a lot of the popular music, like rap, or maybe not metal, but at least rock music, there is Christian artists in those genres of music. So my speech is not only going to be about how Christian music is in some of the more popular genres, but also about how Christian artists are similar and also different to other popular artists today. So first I'm going to tell about some of the artists that, or some of the music that Christian music has, like some of the pop and hip-hop music and stuff like that they have. So a couple of my favorite hip-hop artists for Christian music is Lecrae, who's probably one of the more popular ones out there, and also Toby Mac. And one thing I read on an article on EBSCOhost about, it was like an interview for Toby Mac. He said, "Since I love hip-hop, I'm always up for a put your hands up party, but I don't want it to be nonsense. I want to drop in some sensible things to cause people to think." So I just think that gives a good perspective of his view on how he does his music. And then for Christian rock music, there's a lot of you might have heard of the band Skillet. They are a Christian band. And then also there's another example is a band called Red, which they do a little bit more screaming than Skillet does, in my opinion. And then for pop artists, there's a couple examples. There's one I like called Hawk Nelson, and then also another one called Stellar Heart. I think they both have some really good music. And then if you are into some of the more praise style songs that like some contemporary Christian music, there's groups like For King and Country and also Casting Crowns are some of the more popular ones out there. Now, to get to some similarities that Christian music has with other popular music, first I'm going to tell, there was one time when my dad and I were listening to the radio, and it was just some rock station. I think it was 88.7, but that was in Michigan, so it's probably something completely different here. But, and I heard this song, we found out the song was called Move, and it was by a band called 1,000 Foot Krutch. Now, I didn't find this out until probably a couple years later, but 1,000 Foot Krutch is actually a Christian band. So that was a Christian artist being played on a station with other secular bands. So even though more commonly you'll hear them on, there are Christian radio stations, the one that I prefer is called K-Love, which if you're interested in listening to it is 97.3 in this radio zone. And there's also one called WMUZ. I'm not sure what the frequency of that is in this area of Missouri. And I don't really prefer that one as much. I won't get into why right now, but K-Love I think is good. So, as I said, there are radio stations for Christian music, just like there are radio stations for other popular music. Now, another similar thing about Christian artists is what they write about. One thing I like about K-Love is they actually have a segment that they do called Behind the Music, where they'll have an artist talking about one of the songs that they wrote, and what the feelings was behind it, and maybe the story behind it. I think there was a song I heard one time that was related to something one of their cousins was going through or something like that. And also another Toby Mac quote about what he writes about, which I think also shows how similar what Christian artists write about in comparison to what pop artists write about. He put, and this was an article on EBSCOhost, "I just started writing about my life, and naturally my faith found its way onto those pages." So for them, since faith is just part of their life, it's just something that naturally they'll write about. Now obviously there are similarities, but there are also differences. And one of the differences is just like the themes that they write about are a lot more like God-based and spiritually based than a lot of the more popular music that's out there. And John Cooper, who's the lead singer of Skillet, said in an interview, he said, "We are in no way ashamed of our faith or my Christian roots. We are serious about our faith, but anyone, even an atheist, can relate to our music. We sing about human issues, the human condition." So that's one thing I like, that they're just so strong about their faith in their music. And another thing I really like about Christian music, since I'll keep this brief, but I do not like profanity at all, is that there is, I think I've heard one song I've listened to a sample of that might have had a swear word in it, but besides that, I have heard no profanity in Christian music. And that's one thing I like, because I really feel like profanity is just something I want to avoid. Like, I was working at Creamy Freeze the other night, and they were playing music, and there was just so much profanity in it, and I didn't like that at all. So what I hope you got from this is I hope you saw that there is a lot more to Christian music than just like the hymns and stuff that we're used to singing at church. And hopefully you might check some of it out. And if you are interested in finding Christian artists that match your preferred genre of music, I feel like I know a lot about it. Like, I meant to bring my CD case, in which I had a lot of different CDs of different Christian artists, but I forgot about it. But like I said, if you do have any questions about artists that might match your genre of music, feel free to ask me.
Thank you very much. Give a round of applause. Thank you, Jonah.